I'm a strongman.
Of course I need help to breathe.
Dr. Mike critiqued the diet that I used to win 3 Arnold Strongman Classics, World's Strongest Man, and 15 international strongman shows. I'm going to go over his thoughts, respond to his critiques, and we'll see what Mike agrees with and what he doesn't. And at the end, I'm going to give you my 3 best tips to eat like a strongman, add quality size without turning into a fat strongman of the past, and stay a more lean strongman of today. So let's dive into this and see what Mike has to say.
World's Strongest Man, full day of eating, and there's a person with a CPAP, a machine that helps you sleep when your throat gets closed off by a gigantic muscular neck. That's really a thing, by the way. And
yeah, so the CPAP thing, this is such an important thing for health if you need one to get one, but it's horrible. It's literally, if I do not have a CPAP, I choke on myself when I sleep. I'll wake up gasping for air, often confused for about a minute before I figure out what's going on. It's just that I can't breathe. But literally gasping, something like a power outage to someone like me could actually be fatal because the CPAP would then shut off. You then have a mask making it even harder to breathe and choking on yourself. It can be a real problem. And a lot of people have died that way. So not ideal. Not a healthy thing. This is not a healthiest diet advice. This is a diet to gain muscle, be as strong as you possibly can advice. Let's give a moment of silence for the worst Canadian accent attempt of all time.
and you don't like Canada? I mean, what do you like? We've got snow, we've got politeness, we've got great people. What else do you want? I mean, you're just spoiled is what it is. That's coming along pretty well, huh, Scott?
It's just Jordan Peterson. That is just Jordan Peterson. I don't know a single other person in Canada who talks that way. Plain Greek yogurt and orange juice.
Mixed in? That's disgusting, Mitch.
Okay, Mike, don't knock it till you try it. I'm getting together with Mike in about a month, and I will force this down your gullet. You will agree that it is better than it sounds. OJ and Greek yogurt mixed together. Go ahead. If you haven't tried this at home already, go give it a try. Nutritionally, it's phenomenal, and let's listen to Mike agree with that part.
Does that trigger your food?
Oh boy, 1,500 calories. Makes sense. Not crazy by strongman standards. That's most people's most of their day of eating. Quite impressive. A lot of food.
It's as much plain Greek yogurt as I can get diluted into the orange juice. I would estimate about 1 cup of orange juice and probably about half a cup of plain Greek yogurt. I aim to eat one of those tubs every day. Really good for your gut health, really good macronutrients, get your protein in.
Greek yogurt's great for your gut health. It's got phenomenal protein composition. It's actually super healthy for you in about 50 different ways. Greek yogurt, and actually almost all dairy products, especially minimally processed ones, are really, really awesome for you. I encourage you to have a lot of dairy.
Then raisin bread. I don't know what it is about nutritional experts in the strength and bodybuilding world, but they seem to love yogurt. So I got this combination from Stan Efferding. This is not my invention. People attribute it to me, but it is Stan's invention. And something about Greek yogurt and yogurt in general and dairy, they absolutely love. They think it is the best thing ever. Mike tends to agree. Stan, obviously, he's the one who prescribed that. So, interesting. I don't exactly know why. I know there's something about the fats and how the molecule is contained and how that digests differently than other fats. And the protein content is a complete protein, and it's a good composition of protein. And the carbohydrates are minimal, so you're getting a really good, clean, lean energy source and protein source. But I don't understand the fixation. If you guys understand, go ahead, pop that in the comments. With margarine, because I love raisin bread.
That's a fine sports science reason. But honestly, it's a thing. If it doesn't violate any nutritional principles, which this doesn't, to be a good strongman, you have to be able to stay at your body weight. And that body weight's usually preposterously high. And so you have to combine what you need to eat with what you like to eat so that you don't just stop eating your food because it's disgusting, and then you can't be a strongman competitor anymore because you're too lean and too tiny and you're with the rest of us skinny folks in bodybuilding. So
this is a major point, and one of the things I'm going to cover after we go over the full analysis from Dr. Mike. Enjoying food is a major part of being able to eat a lot of it. The same reason that obese people can get into this self-perpetuating cycle of eating bad for you, tasty foods, and then wanting more and more and more, and they feel like they're never satiated because this food is designed so that you continue to eat it. Raisin bread, not really designed that way, but processed foods are, fast foods are, And if it's something that you enjoy, you're going to tend to want to eat more, which is why I don't support portion control as a sustainable method to lose weight. I think you're much better off choosing foods that are less satiating, portion controlling small amounts of unhealthy foods that you really enjoy, and focusing on the bulk of your diet consisting of things that you're not excited about. There are very few people in the world who should look at a meal and be excited about that like a child is excited about an ice cream. If you're not a child excited for ice cream, you should not be excited about your food. It should just be a part of your day, just like every other part of your day. Just like going to the gym 3/4 of the time. For people who go to the gym every day, we don't really want to. We're not interested. We're not excited about it. It's just what we do. We get there and then we're into it and we enjoy it and it's great. But that's why I don't support portion control. And the opposite is true. If you want to eat food that you really enjoy. That has to be the number one principle. Not 100% of it has to be the cleanest thing ever. And I'm going to address that at the end. Watch when I talk about my Reese's cereal with a protein shake dumped over top. Watch Mike's face. With protein shake dumped over top. All right, so 10 minutes. This is not a sports science reaction. This is a Mike has difficulty combining foods reaction. Oh, that's too funny. All right, now we're into our walk. And this is where the criticism begins. Walks after every meal. This is implemented by Stan Efferding. Now, a lot of what you'll find today is logistics around eating enough food. But for me, eating enough food that actually goes to something useful. So when you walk, just light muscular contraction is gonna soak up glucose from your blood. So any carbs that you've just eaten for breakfast is now gonna go into your muscle stored as glycogen.
Maybe. The problem is, especially when you've eaten 1,500 calories, your muscles begin to contract a little bit and they do get higher glucose uptake because of that. But most of the carbohydrates in that food are going to take hours and hours to get to the muscles, and a 10-minute walk right after you eat is just a little bit of a drop in the bucket in that regard.
So to address this, yes, the actual caloric expenditure and soaking up of the glucose itself, it won't match. No, fair enough. But 48 hours post-exercise, post a single exercise bout, you have higher uptake of glucose through independent pathways of your insulin sensitivity. And so walking post-meal when your glucose is spiking to blunt that spike in glucose, first of all, that's going to be really health forward to stop that glucose spike. But second, it's going to help digest the food for a long period of time, digest it all the way through into the muscle. Let's say one exercise bout has 48 hours of impact on your glucose control. How much impact does a 10-minute walk potentially have on glucose control? I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it has a 3-hour effect on your ability to soak up glucose at a slightly higher rate. And if we compound this meal after meal, session after session, I feel like it does get you into a better place. He talks about metabolic health, and yes, it can help your overall fitness in small ways. Sure, I agree. But the other thing that it does do is it helps with gastrointestinal motility, or the ability for food to move through your system. And this is actually the primary reason that Stan asks me to do this, is because it gets the food moving and gets me ready to be able to eat my next meal. This is one of the really important keys. If you can get yourself in a place where food isn't sitting in your stomach like a rock, even after you eat quite a bit of it, and you're ready for your next meal sooner, that is going to be huge in order to consume more food. Now, when you have an abdominal surgery, there's a protocol where they help you to recover as quick as possible, of course, like every other surgery. And part of that is walking after meals, because this helps with the digestion for people who are compromised. If we take this to a performance aspect, even if you're not compromised, you're going to be able to get more motility, more digestion faster than someone who doesn't move at all. Now, as an aside, I have an ongoing disagreement with Greg Doucette that cardio helps you lose weight. At high volumes, I agree, but at smaller volumes, I don't. And this could be part of an explanation as to why. If you move more, your stomach empties faster, so you feel hungry quicker. Therefore, your appetite's going to start to match that moderate exercise output. You're not actually going to lose weight this way. You're only going to lose weight through dietary intervention. And like I said before, the dietary intervention that I believe is best is eating higher volumes of food that you don't love, but are good for you, small volumes of food that are not good for you and you love. That way we're getting both ends, where you're getting high volumes of food, you're getting a little bit of things that you enjoy, and you are good to go. The opposite is true if you're trying to gain weight. Eat higher volumes of food that you enjoy, smaller volumes of food to get in reasonable health macronutrients, but we can't have our cake and eat it too. Pun not really intended. If you want to gain weight, you're going to be eating some foods that you don't love, or you're going to be stuffing yourself absolutely full. But when you stuff yourself, you're going to hit this upper limit of like, I've had enough. And things aren't black and white. Would I support eating deep fried cheese curds to add extra calories because you love them? No. Would I support eating pizza as a meal because you love it? No. But for example, adding peanut butter to a protein shake, peanut butter is not inherently unhealthy. High fat contents, high calorie contents, tastes good, you'll enjoy it, and assists you in your goal. I think that rationale is quite reasonable. The macro breakdown is pretty interesting to me. Protein of 440 grams. I don't need that much. Personally, I only need around 300 to 320 grams.
Accurate, very good. Just around body weight, maybe a little bit more in Mitchell's case, maybe a little bit less. His body fat's pretty reasonable, so 440 grams is extra. It's not like it's bad for you at that point, but could he potentially have more carbohydrate and be fuller in glycogen? Maybe, but with as much food as he's eating, he's probably not lacking much of anything at all.
No, the 440 grams of protein, way too much, and I've knocked that down since then. The reason that I want to shift that to carbohydrates is partially because it can be used as an energy source, of course, but also partially because protein is more satiating than carbohydrates. So if I'm eating too much satiating food, it's going to be harder in total to eat that food than if I had less satiating food. And so it's going to make me feel better throughout the day if my stomach is a little bit less full. So shifting some of that protein heavy content meals to carbohydrate content, super easy. So what I've adopted in the interim is I'll eat bags of mini rice cakes, which are basically pure carbs, and I'll just snack on those on a regular basis to get the carb content higher, but also to just keep my overall feeling of fullness lower. 1 gram per pound of body weight is a good place to start, but since carbohydrates are protein sparing, when you're not in a calorie deficit, you don't need to have protein that high. So 300 grams is probably what I should aim for.
Scott, it's really cool for Mitchell to go through his diet and be like, yeah, this doesn't all make sense optimally. I think a lot of people discover what they're eating and try to rationalize it, you know? Like, well, yeah, I do need this much protein. Like, no, you don't. He's like, yeah, I don't actually need this much, and maybe I should make a change.
Yeah, that's really, yeah.
It's a really interesting human thing to assume that everything that you're doing is the best and you are completely unwilling to change. That is one of the things that has helped me the most. I am 100% open to reading a YouTube comment down below and changing my diet or trying something new. For example, I used to have egg whites on a regular basis. Then through a YouTube comment, I found out about the potential of it having micronutrient complications. I then went and researched what they were talking about, which was born to be true, and I stopped drinking egg whites altogether because of the micronutrient implications. So being open to change, being open to advice at any level is really important. If I have someone who's an amateur strongman come up to me and advise me on how to do an event better, I will listen, because sometimes someone isn't genetically as capable but has really good advice, really good coaching abilities, really good insight. And so I never look at something and think that just because what I'm doing is done well for me that I can't be doing better. And I'm always open to that, always open to tweaking. So if you have any advice on my diet, please feel free to comment below. But all in all, Mike agrees with what I do, which is awesome. He understands the practical elements of eating like a strongman, which a lot of people don't. But let's talk about the things that you really need to care about when it comes to eating to gain lean quality size and to try to be as strong as possible. Now, first of all is calories. Done. If you're not gaining weight, you need to eat more. Whatever explanation you might have about your metabolism or your appetite or your whatever, doesn't matter when it comes to the science of energetics. If you eat more, you will gain weight. If you eat less, you will lose weight. Then we go into carbs, in my opinion, most important macronutrient when it comes to strength performance. Now, carbs, eating them in high quantities, really important. For me, I should be eating about 750 to 1,000 grams of carbohydrates a day. That comprises the caloric content of about 60% of my day. Sugar is a conversation that should be considered to an extent, but also appreciate that when you eat food, that food is all amalgamated together. And so if you eat 50 grams of sugar on its own, it's going to go through your system quick. Your blood sugar is going to spike. You might want that for performance. You might not want that for health, depending on the time. If you have a full meal with 50 grams of sugar and you have fats in there and you have protein in there, that's all mixed together, and the sugar doesn't really matter. It doesn't have near the same impact on your blood sugar in an acute sense. And so don't be so concerned about sugar. Now, I would say sure, complex carbohydrates are better for you traditionally, but sometimes we have to throw out the window what's better for us for what's actually going to work. So a white rice versus a brown rice, the only major real difference, it's a minute fiber difference. The only major real difference is digestion time. So for strongman, white rice is going to be a better option because it's going to get through your system. Now, don't feel the need to eat Reese's Puffs for breakfast like I do on occasion. But if you do and you put protein over top of it, well, you're just having a high carbohydrate meal. The problem that you can run into is that you eat a lot of simple carbohydrates. You don't get any sort of fiber into your diet. You could then have issues with constipation. You could have issues with absorption of food. You could have many issues that are health related, but not necessarily an impedance on your performance itself. So don't be afraid of simple carbohydrates as an assistance to allow you to eat a lot of food. Next up is your protein. Complete protein is the only thing that I have time for. If really simply put, animal products. Have your protein through animal products. This could be a dairy, it could be a meat, it could be a fish, anything like that. When it comes to vegans and vegetarians, it's a whole nother layer of complication of mixing different beans together, of having tofu 6 different ways a day. If that's you, God bless you. I'm not in a position to advise on that. But if you want the path of least resistance, I would eat protein from an animal source that is a complete protein. And then last up is fats. And fats, having your omega-3s and omega-6, really important. Things like fish oil is really important for overall reduction of inflammation. Try to avoid all trans fats, which mainly comes from fried foods. And saturated fats, to be honest, the jury is out on whether this is bad for you or not bad for you. Personally, I say don't worry too much about it so long as you're getting them from reasonable sources, i.e. fried foods, no. Red meats, sure. Now, there's 2 things on top of that that I think are actually more important than the diet itself. And this is the palatability and the sustainability of what you eat. You need to enjoy the taste of what you're eating or you're going to feel full quicker. And for sustainability, you need to create habitual meals that you know hit the targets you're looking to hit and that you can have ready to go relatively easily. For me, it's things like Monster Mashes for lunch. That makes a tremendous difference to me. Then my breakfast, sometimes I can make a full breakfast with a whole bunch of eggs and that's great. Sometimes I just have to have a protein shake, a couple pieces of toast and get on with my day. And that's me, where this is my living. And for you, you're going to have troubles if you don't have these easy habitual meals where you can say, I can just grab this, grab this, grab this, done. Even if you're out, you need to know what your options are to be able to get reasonable food on the go. Have that planned in advance and it's going to set you up for success. And that's the sustainability part of it. It's not going to be sustainable if you don't create habits. Now, you don't need every single meal planned out, but you should be able to say, here are my options for breakfast. Here are my options for lunch. Here are my options for dinner. Here are my options for my second lunch or my third lunch, depending on how much you want to eat and how often you're able to eat. And once you have those, you should be able to then come up with a plan on a regular basis that's sustainable for a long time. My 3 tricks for being able to eat like a strongman and add quality size. Number 1, liquid food. Liquid foods are the least satiating food possible just because we avoid mastication or chewing, and chewing stimulates hormones that tells us that we are full. If we cut out the chewing, we don't get those hormones, we feel less full, we're able to eat more food altogether. You can also have a shake that's 300 calories and a shake that's 600 calories or 800 calories and not really even know the difference. You can hardly taste the difference. You certainly can't feel the difference in your stomach. So liquid food is an absolute go-to. Next up is 20% junk food. And this is actually both a minimum and a maximum. You should be eating some junk food throughout the day to get extra calories in. Now, this applies to people who are trying to get bigger and stronger, not people trying to bodybuild. But if you have less than 20% junk food, you're going to be trying to hammer yourself full of chicken and rice, and it's going to be extremely difficult. And that 20% junk food, for me, when I eat, in this case, 6,000 calories a day, 20% of 6,000 is 1,200. 1,200 calories of junk food is really not that much. Now, junk food comes in context. It's not going to be deep fried cheese curds, like I said before, but might it be a cookie on the way out the door? Might it be a pretzel when I'm out for dinner? Yes, all of those things are on the cards for me, and it's fine, especially because I'm going to get my protein in my clean meals. In fact, I tend to get it in droves. And so I have lots of carbohydrates that I can spare. I have some fats that I can spare, and 20% of that is going to come from easy to eat, very tasty, high calorie foods. And number three is what I said before: habitualize your meals and make yourself adhere to a lifestyle that's going to allow yourself to gain muscle, gain weight, and gain strength. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Would love your thoughts below. Did Mike get it right? Did I get it right? And what would you advise me to do to improve my diet even more? Thank you very much for watching. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, lift heavy and be kind.